And to screw it up less next time, although we can't possibly screw it up as badly as the city is screwing this up. And welcome to the This Week in Worcester podcast. I'm Tom Marino, editor of This Week in Worcester. I am here with Mr. John Edward Keogh. He is executive producer at Managing Media. He is president of Hollywood Film Group. He is a valued and superstar, rock star, excellent featured contributor to This Week in Worcester.
Featured contributor. That's me.
What's going on, dude? What's a firefighter video update this week? I'm excited for this thing. You got me amped.
All right, so it's actually getting good. So we interviewed all the Westwood guys, and then we interviewed oh my goodness, I'm gonna say her name the wrong way. Kathy. I'm not going to say her last name because I don't want to mess it up. So she's the executive director of the Last Call Foundation. Her son, Michael McDonald, died in the fire in Boston in 2016, which led to the formation of the Last Call Foundation. And so we got to interview her, and that was amazing. So, that was pretty cool to see Tommy go through that. And she's just so she knows her stuff. She's very specific and stuff like that. Then we got an anonymous tip, which happens sometimes, that the South Division Station over by Polar Park has been without heat since December 12th. So in the middle of the winter, in Christmas time, they are actually running this giant machine, which you can see. You can go over there and drive by it. This giant box to give like a basic level heat, but the actual building is not working correctly, and that just goes to show you how they treat the firefighters. So it's very interesting. We are in discussions for the theatrical run, which is a really exciting thing, and then where we're going to do the premiere. We really want to do the premiere in Worcester. That's part of Hollywood's whole DNA. So we're working on it. We're getting close. So I'm excited. I'll probably let you. No one is in the chat. But I'll probably let you get a sneak preview of some of the stuff that we already have.
Special.
Yes, that's right. So we're getting really
good. And when's the release date?
Our goal is April. It's going to be either the week after or 2 weeks after the marathon.
Nice.
Yeah.
We will not be talking any about my drama this week. We did enough of that. I've done enough of that. I'm all done now. But first on our agenda today is we were sadly very, very correct.
Yeah.
The city council released Mayor Petty's appointments to council committees this week, and look, there's a bigger gap ideologically, in the numbers of councilors on the council ideologically now. So things are going to seem a little more skewed because there's just more people, right, on one side of the quote one side of the aisle. But we'll start with the one that we talked about was important to us. Mayor Petty has returned Councilor Kate Toomey to the Public Safety Committee for years 11 and 12 of her run. Mo Bergman's also returning to the Public Safety Committee. Louis Ojeda has been taken from the committee and sentenced to traffic and parking. And Tony Economou has been added to the Public Safety Committee. So, if you didn't remember, Mr. Economou said during one of the debates during the campaign that the DOJ report was just words on paper without names in it. And of course, Tony's a nice guy, but either you're lying or incompetent, because that's against the law to put names in it.
Which, of course, is
I just looked at the report again today before we did this, and it says right at the top, under this law, it's like you just have to copy and right-click, search Google, and you'll get it, and you can read it. It's only 100 words or something. It's very, very short. The provisions in that bill that apply to, or what's in federal law now, it applies to pattern and practice investigations. It's like, this is what they do, and the next section is no names, and that's it, pretty much. It's 4 provisions. So I don't know if this is just a continuation of the same propaganda campaign that was, let's just be honest about it, that the city manager and the mayor launched the day the report came out prior to its release through their attorney, through the attorney the city hired for this matter. I don't know if it's a continuation or he really doesn't know. I don't know, but I was reading through it again today because I haven't read it since probably end of 24 or something. I refer to it, but I haven't read through it, and there's just so many things there that aren't in the recommendations that they're just ignoring. It's really stunning. And look, I've said in past weeks, like, I'm kind of over blaming the police department. You know what? The chief did his part. He wrote policies. Had he been given more instruction or more direction from the city council where policy is supposed to come from, if they give the manager more direction on their expectations, which would of course be passed to the chief, then I'm sure that would happen. But they refuse to do so because I don't know, because the next election is only 2 years away, and they want that same endorsements and campaign support. I don't know what the reason is. It's insane to me.
It doesn't. It just. Again, it just goes back to some of the statements. I just don't think that people care or that they even read. I don't believe that. You're just going back and looking at the videos around the meetings. I don't think even if you go to that initial meeting when it first came out, and the counselor started talking about it, and George Russell had said the famous heads need to roll, that whole comment, and you just listen to the mayor and the city manager and all their comments. Even then, when they were afraid of it a little bit, I don't believe they read it all the way. I really don't, because there are some things that like, if you just read it, it's not the sinister report. It has these 5 really particular damning things in it, but it doesn't say that there was no changes or that there was no movement even in those 5 areas. You know what I mean? It doesn't say that in the specific and the one that got everybody excited was that officers were having sex with prostitutes in their cars. It didn't say every officer. It didn't. It specifically was related to a series of incidents that were reported over a much longer period of time than the investigation itself. So, some of these were older, some of these were newer. They only looked at a certain amount, and they were only sampling reports. In this case, some of the witnesses, and very specifically officers, self-reported some of this stuff. What you know what I mean? This wasn't like there was this secret investigation where Tom and I were meeting with sources and file folders in parking lots and smoking cigars, like the deep cover kind of stuff. No, it was police officers self-reporting this information, and they even they over exaggerated it, right? Those incidences, and then they refused to acknowledge them afterwards, even when they had all made these statements on that first initial council meeting, which was just wild. And then so then you saw when the lawyers press release came out, that really was the thing that got them to kind of dig their heels in.
Yep.
Right. And it was that, which then, it's like that's legal advice. So there was a lawyer somewhere who was like, hey, we can beat this. Let's do it this way. And then everybody bought in, from the top of the administration down. And, even though
And
he's taking.
let's just be clear why they bought in, because that was what was best for them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it protected them personally for sure. And then you can really look at it. If you look at the city manager, he never took responsibility. He just accepted that it was on him. It was very specific, right? It wasn't a I'm sorry. It was, this was my decision, and so that allowed everybody else to kind of skate under the cover of that. And so, that I think people forget that. I know that in other like independent outlets, I know like over Worcester Sucks, but Bill's talked a lot about this. The city manager's job literally is to take bullets for the city council.
Well, that's
Right?
that's not what his job's supposed to be. That is what his job is, though. They just use him as cover.
Yeah. Now the interesting thing is they're all part timers, so it's not like he like so meanwhile, the three city managers in a row, Mike O'Brien, Ed Augustus, and him, have all also used that, hey, I'm taking cover, I'm gonna take more power and be able to make decisions that they normally wouldn't be able to make, right? That, you know what I mean? So it's just interesting. Like, we're gonna talk about it a little bit more later, but like the cable thing, he said it's my decision. That was never how the charter was written. It was supposed to be advice was given to him, and then he would form a policy that he would send back to the city council. But it was supposed to originate from the city council, which it didn't.
Policy is supposed to originate from the city council in general.
Right. And then it goes to the manager. The manager has staff and boards that give him advice. He responds to them, and in that kind of back and forth between the council and the manager's department, you're supposed to get effective policy. Like, okay, you wrote in subclause 3 this thing. We can't do that because that's actually against this other ordinance that we already have, and blah 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 blah. And so it's supposed to be a team kind of effort, and there's supposed to be push and pull between the legislative and the executive branch, and we just don't have that. And so I think that the response to that was very similar. And so now, I'm not surprised by the committee assignments. I mean, I said this, you and I both said it, we predicted it. We predicted it on Hank Stolz's show, and we predicted it there, even though, Gary was out there saying he wanted it. I don't, and I've told Gary this, I don't believe you that you ever really wanted it. I think, that you might have been put up to that a little bit. I think Kate was given the decision to be on it or not. And I think that's what she wants. And I think that's because there's people who are interested parties who think that she's an effective manager of their interests. And I think she's done, if you look at it objectively,
right,
from the perspective of those interested parties, she's done a spectacular job in that role. And so because she has delivered for them consistently for more than a decade, and you have to look at that and say, wow, I mean, she's delivering. She's delivering the mail.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if she's. I mean, I guess. I mean, look, nothing of any consequence gets discussed there, and apparently that's what they want.
Yeah, that's what they want. And I don't think that again, this goes back to, I guess, more dramatic scenarios that are happening both in our world and in the city's world. It's not as if. By the way, the Patriots are winning 3-0. I was just sent messages. Drake.
I wonder if that has anything to do with our dead chat.
It could be. People are watching the thing. Although we have people that don't watch football. You know what I mean? It's not, Maria's not watching the Patriots game. She's a Dallas Cowboys fan. So
poor girl.
poor girl, poor girl. Um, you're gonna get in trouble again. You got posted and everything. You were put all
I
over
did.
the
I got
place.
called out.
You did. So what I'm saying is that I just they don't want anything of consequence, specifically with the potential somewhere down the line Worcester Regional Research Bureau report coming up. Although Gary Rosen, did not deliver on his campaign promise to put that on the first agenda of the year. Did not happen. Not surprised. Neither did Mayor Petty. And so, again, not surprised. They're going to bury maybe, maybe one of the best reports in the history of the city of Worcester. Meticulous research, detailed, and by the way, I at this point I have firmly come to the point that I don't believe a civilian review board would do anything because they will never ever allow it to have any teeth ever. So the only thing that could work is an inspector general that had the ability to investigate and by the way, so one of the pushbacks I got from several people was that there are all these civilian review boards around the countries that are just full of like defund the police and anti-police activists. So I've decided at least to look into the three biggest cities that happen to have them near us, right? So New York, Boston, and Providence. And in all three of those civilian review boards, the chief of police in those municipalities has the right of refusal for any appointee. So if an appointee got on the board that was an anti-police activist, that means that the chief of police of that city let him on. So like so it's not going to happen. And when you look at at least in Boston, for example, there's 4 ex-cops and there's a couple of like cops from outside of the city of Boston that were like active duty cops. You can't be an active duty police officer from the city of Boston like within 5 years to be on that board, right? And then the rest are like, there's some victim witness advocates and there's a couple of defense attorneys and then there's some ex-prosecutors and that kind of stuff. Everybody worked within the criminal justice system. So none of them really are objective, independent reviewers of that scenario. They're none of them. They're all interested parties. Again, so and Providence is very much the same. New York's very much the same. And if you look at all three cities, the civilian review boards have complained that none of the things that they do get listened to anyway. So it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. And for the folks that are worried about this Mandami guy being the Antichrist, goodness gracious, this guy gets hammered every single week, man. He just gets.
Meanwhile, he's just killing it up there already.
Yeah, he's just So, anyways, but his he's prevented by statute from making any changes to the civilian review board. He can't appoint anybody. He can't change anything. So there's no like if people are worried that he was going to fill that board with like people from the Black Lives Matter movement and things like that. It's just they're so specific in their attacks. It's only going to be one group of things that they say. He's going to put Muslim imams on there and all kinds of stuff like that. And then he had to give a press conference where he had to say, "I'm like the statute doesn't allow me to do it." What you're saying,
and I mean,
it was very, very interesting to me.
If I remember correctly, right, and the real teeth and discipline is internal investigations at NYPD, right?
Right.
Yeah. That's a much bigger department, obviously, and they have people that are. If I looked at this a long time ago, so stop me if you know that I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, obviously it's a much bigger department, and but the people that are in internal affairs are full time, and it's all they do.
Yeah, I mean, so if you look at the IA department, they are full-time IA in New York. They have a different headquarters. Like they're a separate branch of the police department. They operate differently. Now, are they in all? And remember, New York's one of the biggest cities in the world. So I mean, it's not like it's not. Worcester wouldn't even be a borough. We're not even a borough of New York City. So it's not comparable population-wise. But they have precincts all over the city of New York, and IA operates out of every single precinct. Like so, they have these are lifelong jobs that these guys have, and then if you watch enough Law and Order, um, there has been good IA investigations in New York City that have led to huge. To be honest with you, the last chief of police before Eric Adams, when he was chief of police, he got brought down by an IA investigation after he became mayor. I mean, that's really what happened, and good for them that they published all that stuff.
That would never happen here.
No. Now, by the way, he didn't go to jail, but the public scrutiny became so great and so difficult for him to overcome that he ended up losing any real chance of becoming the mayor again.
And and here, I mean, I've asked for Bop's, like, what's this cost us? Like, what's the budget?
Yeah.
They're not even budgeted separately.
Right.
I think they pulled people out of the investigations division to do those. Or I think the people that work Bop's cases also work in the investigations committee. I'm not division rather. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I mean, these people aren't doing internal investigations full time. So like, it's crazy. Like, they're working with some of these people that they're investigating. It's just ridiculous.
Now, under Paul Saucier, it's definitely changed the way that the deputy chiefs are, like, the portfolios that each of them have. Like, so each of them have, like, they have things that they do. So there's, like, they run one section and they do different things. And so, and I mean, it would be a much longer show if we broke all that down about which ones they do. And so, but if you understand that before he came along, which, by the way, is very clear in the Department of Justice report, it really wasn't. It was kind of willy-nilly a little bit, and you had some folks like Carl Supernor. Carl Supernor is from every single witness across all police. He's an amazing organizer. He organizes everything. He's very good with that kind of stuff, operations and that kind of thing. He's well-respected guy. You've never heard us complain about him. Have you ever heard us say anything about that guy? No, because he just does his job, and so that's not a bad guy. That's a guy who does his job, and so you can't, like, they try to kind of put us into one box. But then Paul comes around. He's kind of an operational chief. He understands divisions of responsibilities and sectioning things and kind of dividing responsibilities and a big thing, which is delegation, right? So, I mean, under Sergeant, there was really no delegation of authority. Everything kind of literally almost every decision was made by him for years. And so that really affected the morale in the department. And so then Paul came along, and, you hear that now. A lot of our sources say things like, morale-wise, it's much better since Paul became chief because they have a clear line of command, a clear, distinct understanding. But that's the point. What we're saying is there's a bunch of stuff that happened that has not ever been truly discussed and healed. And so, and we're not just for regular citizens, for people too.
Yep. I mean, the best example, there's two really great examples. First, that consensus case. I mean, people are either still uninformed about what really happened or lying about it. Because the idea, quote, those officers did nothing wrong is preposterous. Okay? And one of the officers, a thing they said about seeing that and he fled, and but they could possibly identify another cop that was there, another officer that was there, said he was so far away, there's no chance they could have possibly positively identified him. So who's lying? To police people who just think that they all walk on water. Which one of them's lying? That's a tough question to answer when all you do is argue that they're all godlike. And then there's hold one second. And then there's and then of course the bigger thing in that is the other officer involved in that case has two very different in the two trials of criminal and civil. He answered the same question very differently. I imagine he knew that he had to answer it differently the second time because something in discovery came out. But I don't know what the specifics are. But they were the same question, two very different answers on the most key piece of evidence in the case. And then there's Dana Gall's case. He sat at Worcester House of Correction for months. I forget how long. Well, he was up there though on a murder charge. There was witnesses to the murder. He was in no way did he fit the description of this person that they were supposed to be looking for based on the witnesses to the case. It was a fight and the guy died.
Yeah.
And so my question is, what did the investigation by the Public Safety Committee, in its capacity as, in doing its legislative oversight or its legislative inquiry as part, its oversight function as part of its, learning information to then do the city council's job, which is write legislation, write ordinances. What was its conclusion and what was its recommendations moving forward to avoid this ever happening again? Well, they didn't look because that's inconvenient. What the city does is, in Gall's case, it signed, both cases, it signed an agreement, paid him money, and then said, in the agreement, like it does in almost all lawsuit settlements, the city didn't take any responsibility, which is fine in the lawsuit, but now all of those claims are closed forever, and then they just run away from it.
Yeah, you kind of need someone who never signs an agreement like that. You need someone who is going to take the torturous route of going through it and fight until the end and forcing them to say sorry. And that's really, the same thing. This is why the Inspector General thing becomes something that really, I think is more important as we kind of move along, is because with the Inspector General thing, you have the opportunity for someone to make an independent set of fact findings. It doesn't necessarily have to be about police stuff, right? So it could be about other things like the Holden water loss, where the legal strategy has just been, we're going to see if we can just go to the end and see if they'll just give up. Now, in this case, you have a guy in Peter Lukes in Holden who's like, I'm not ever going to give up.
He wants the money back.
Yeah, and legitimately so. $30 million is probably a lot of money. Although Holden's doing fine, so it's not that they're complaining. But it's a principle thing. But the thing is that the legal strategy has never been to admit any fault of any kind, even though in this case they've been found at fault at every single legal level from the beginning.
Look, and the legalese of the agreement, to shield from liability or whatever it might be. I don't know the legal intricacies of a settlement like that. But then once all the legal process is over and you have a signed document from both sides that says all of these claims are now closed forever.
Yeah.
There are no more claims. That's when government, if you're a functional government, you then do a review of what happened. So you can develop policy and strategies to make sure it never happens again. And in the case, when the consent of the case was announced as settled, I remember I communicated with the city manager's press office a couple times. It was a couple back and forth. I forget what the questions were, but I asked for the agreement. He sent it to me. I asked the question. He responded. That was it, right? But in both of the emails, the last line of the email said the city accepted no responsibility in the agreement. What a profile in courage and leadership.
So, no, I'm with you. I understand. It's just that it's a legal and operational strategy. It's just to never admit fault at any kind of any kind. Yep. You just are the best, and that's it. And no one else. Yeah. You can never be wrong and never be right. And
even if Eric wasn't there at the time, the current city manager wasn't there when this thing's happened, and he wasn't in both of those cases. He's still the guy. The city of Worcester, where the buck stops nowhere.
Yeah, there's just there's nobody who ever takes responsibility for anything. Or if something does go wrong, they'll just say, oh, well, that person was rogue. So every person who ever does anything wrong is rogue, even if they all work together in the same agency, right?
Or there's multiple people that say they all said the same thing that we then find out didn't happen at all.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just where all those guys? Oh, they're on the job.
So the thing
that was a big tangent.
The thing that I find very concerning about these assignments is that they, for the first time in my memory, I was unable to find another one. The records of committee assignments after going back before 1996 are harder to access. I'm not 100% sure. But the committee, basically since 96 on, traffic and parking has never had a first-time counselor be the chairperson. Traffic and parking is by far the busiest committee. It's not even remotely close. And there's been there was a lot of, I think, people. All right, so people on our chat and people on our show are gonna, get upset about this. But Donna Colorio did a good job at traffic and parking. She did.
Yep.
She really, really
That
did.
was I agreed. I mean, I don't like her politics. She's a nice lady. I don't like her politics. I don't like necessarily, her lack of speaking and all. There's a lot of stuff I don't like. Nice woman,
Yeah.
but I mean, she bit the bullet on traffic and parking for years. For
Yes.
I think her whole tenure.
She did. And so, you can be, you can say what you want, but that committee's job is to move stuff along. And so, again, there's a lot of things that go there too. Like, and just think about everything related to traffic. There's, planning board stuff goes there, street redesign stuff goes there, parking obviously stuff goes there, traffic related things, everything. State agencies have to go there first. There's a lot of places, a lot of things around municipal departments that have to go to that committee, and those items have to come up, get voted on, moved, up, get voted on, moved, up, get voted on, moved, and you have very upset citizens that come to that committee. And I always thought that Donna did a good job with that, and so I don't know how yeah, that's right. Leanne had a ticket that she got. And so I just don't know how Jose is going to handle that. Now, maybe he'll do great. I don't know. But that could be a very combative committee. And I've seen in several situations where people have confronted him, he hasn't handled it well. So now, this is his first time. He just got sworn in just a couple weeks ago. We'll see what happens. But it might be a tough row. And if that committee gets gridlocked, the city gets gridlocked, so it really.
Well, I don't know. It's not good. And just we probably should have said this top, but so that's the traffic and parking committee. It's Jose Rivera is the chair, Louis Ojeda and Rob Bellotta. The mayor said on Tank's show that Jose said he wanted it. So.
I mean, okay. So again, this is Rob Bellotta is another first-time counselor. A lot of experience in other kind of municipal committees and departments, and he's been around doing a lot of that kind of stuff. Louis Ojeda is the second-term guy, and again, both. The reason I'm pointing this out is that Jose and Louis both work full-time. Obviously Louis is a principal of a school, and then Jose is a court officer. And so neither of them are going to be able to do any of the daytime committees that Donna did, ever. So you're looking at traffic and parking always being at nighttime. That is going to lead to people being up. The last time that we had that in place was prior to Donna. So remember, Donna used to do a weekly committee sometimes. Sometimes she would schedule more than one meeting because there was so high volume and stuff. And so I don't know when he's going to be able to do that. And so, more power to him, but there's going to be feedback then about his, so like if he's doing it during his lunch break as a court officer, how is that going to function? That's a legitimate question to be raised. How's that going to work? And then, again, there's always going to be, when there's new counselors, there's always going to be some committee run by a new counselor.
Yeah, I mean, everybody gets a chair. Yeah, everybody gets a chair committee.
Right. So, but in this case, that one has always been, to my knowledge, I can't find, if maybe someone else can find, I cannot find a time when a first year counselor took that job.
As chair, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Economic development, of course, with Kenny Merrill Carlson, not there. Mo Bergman is the chair, Kate Toomey and Sasha Mitra. It's going to be interesting to see that committee operate without Candy, who was, obviously very instrumental in that committee.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, I can tell you that whatever the chamber wants, they're going to get. So there's no doubt about that. That is now a chamber operated committee. I don't know. I mean, and if the chamber wants to be upset at me about that, but the Chamber of Commerce now has 3 seats in the Economic Development Committee. So it means that small businesses who have felt suppressed by the Chamber of Commerce here in the city of Worcester will have no voice in economic development. And I don't. And no offense to Dr. Mitra, Mo Bergman, and Kate Toomey, but none of them have a track record of supporting small businesses in the city of Worcester. All 3 of them have been openly and advocating for paid parking in the city of Worcester, which most proportionally affects small businesses who have limited parking options already. All of them are huge ballpark proponents, which led to the closure of many small businesses in the city. And although I've seen Mo, to his credit, go to bat for small businesses in his neighborhood, there have been many small businesses that have closed around the city of Worcester where Mo Bergman has been conspicuously absent for the last 12 years. And so, again, I just don't see that committee is an important place where businesses need to go to have access to a lot of the levers, that businesses need to pull to be able to get things done in the city. And there's a lot of shady stuff where the city just doesn't have basic forms and applications that other cities have. And I think that Candy, again, people are going to be surprised, did a good job of them
She did a really good
creating
job.
forms and more and like changing processes. And in again, this is just me observing as a constituent and a citizen here in the city of Worcester. I mean, Mo's been advocating for less forms and less access, and so I just don't see how that committee is going to operate. Again, it's just here's I'm just saying what it is. Now I guarantee every development will sail through the process. Sure. Awesome. So and by the way, I'm pro the there's been some reports of some larger projects, like finally some height, which has been something I'm 100% for. Yeah, build giant buildings, sure. Of course, why not? Why do we have to have a cap at 8 floors or whatever? Go up 700 floors.
Yeah,
It
build up.
doesn't matter to me. But it's not like those are 700 floors of of affordable housing. We're talking, you know what I mean? Nobody's proposing a 100 floor skyscraper, and those are going to be $800 apartments. No, I mean, so. But again, it doesn't seem there's a lot of balance as far as that is concerned. And again, I mean, Dr. Mitra has not been a public official before, but he's been highly involved in many, boards and commissions around the city. He's been on the Mechanics Hall board for a long time. He was the former, president of the Chamber of Commerce. He's a guy who has been involved in that stuff, and everything seems to be slanted towards big business economic development that comes from outside developers. There's no like a value investment in local developers, unless it's a, a sober house. Like they only kick local developers like that kind of project because they don't want Boston Capital to have to deal with that. You know, and so that's the thing that only community developers, small, local, run by women, run by people of color. Those developers only get, the kind of leftover stuff that the big boys don't want to do. And so that's just been the track record. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Again, it's one of those things we have to kind of wait and see. We don't have a track record yet to say, but we'll see real quick with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense to, I mean, he's coming out of the business world into government. I think it makes sense to put him in Dr. Mitra into economic development. I'm really curious, surprised, don't understand appointing him as chair of municipal ops, so municipal and legislative operations, however, which is generally deals with obviously by its name, the operations of government, but also the rules of the council and kind of how the council operates. And I don't understand putting him as chair there. I don't get it.
Well, I think I can tell you why, because he'll just do whatever Joe Petty tells him. I mean, he'll just do exactly what Joe wants, and then Joe will get the rules across that he wants to get across, even though many of Joe's rules are unconstitutional. But Joe doesn't see on the horizon any chance that there's a group of people that will sue or try to push back against those things. And so we're looking at we're just looking at a rules committee that'll just do exactly what what they want to be done. And so I don't know. Again, Dr. Mitra has also gone on the record of trying to punish. He used the word punish people who spoke out of line at city council meetings. If you talk badly or whatever, we want to make sure we punish you. That was the phrasing that he used. And so limiting people's access again. And then Mo Bergman's been on a quest to limit people's access. So that committee is probably going to produce a lot of rules that are in line with everything that we've predicted. All the doom and gloom that we were accused of. I love that Hank now is calling us conspiracy theorists. That's great, Hank. Way to ask me to come back on your show. Way to go, Hank.
Well, we can call us conspiracy theorists over what? I didn't hear this.
He uses this phrase. That's what he says. We're conspiracy theorists whenever we predict something negative, and that we don't ever predict anything positive. That's because people tell him that. Not that he's listened, because I don't think Hank's ever watched our show. It's just that somebody. It's a specific person too. It's one person who tells Hank what we said on our show, and then Hank just goes with that person's thought, which is part of the reason why I'm at where I'm at right now. So.
The junior king of all doctrine.
Yeah. The guy that's forcing himself on him now. But anyways, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. By
the way, and I'm sure anybody who listens regularly knows what we're talking about. He called into Hank's show, of course, an hour before I was there, and to cry about that. I said I hope he gets hit by a car. We're talking about Steve Quist.
Yeah. Did you answer that question on air?
No, I didn't have a chance because I was getting. It was a fine interview, but it was obviously about the thing.
Yeah.
So we didn't get there.
We've called them on enough. Actually, we spent the whole show last week calling them out.
Yeah. And so it's municipal ops is Sasha Mitra, Gary Rose, and Mo Bergman.
Maybe we'll get our sidewalks.
And then the narrative will continue that they have important city business to do, and therefore, hearing from the residents we don't have time for that. Well, not only just hearing from the residents in public speaking, but certainly we can't take any petitions because that would take too long. Meanwhile, these people all put in orders that are ridiculous. They all get debated to the end of the time, and then they never happen. Many of them, and just keep in mind that they had 2 meetings this past session that were under 30 minutes. And then they had a special meeting on a Tuesday. So they basically gave up another regular meeting. Of course, they had voted to have 5 special meetings in the DOJ report and had 1. But, they don't need special meetings to hear from the public. They've been hearing from the public for 50 years. What they need is to have debates on what they're going to do. And that isn't the status quo.
I'm with it. It's just hard to get excited about something that we predicted. And then had everybody in the media and the candidates themselves say, "Oh no, it won't be like that," and then it's literally, it's just. Excuse me. Just it's just hard to. It's like, okay, how do we even effectively make an argument? I will tell you this though. One thing that I will tell you for sure that's going to happen, and it happened the last time he was on the council. Gary Rosen does force the meetings to happen on the committees that he's on. So they will not be missing meetings in those committees that Gary is either the chair or a member of. So I hope that there's been a few committee chairs who have not always had this meetings on time or pretty consistent process in the past. So we'll see how that happens. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah. Speaking of Gary. Gary was, until recently, of course, till he decided to run again, was on the Public Health Commission, the Board of Health. That's it, the Board of Health. And he was appointed to the chair of Public Health and Human Services with Councilor Christian King and Councilor Toomey, which I'm sure they're both equally as thrilled about that.
Yeah, they love it. Big fans.
But that could get interesting. Gary is a big proponent of safe injection sites.
He has something on the agenda.
Overdose prevention centers. Because he doesn't like when people die.
Correct. Right. Which is good. I'm happy that Gary is against death. That's a good thing to be against. Yeah. He doesn't seem to see how some of these other things connect to deaths of people, but maybe we can convince him. I will say this: he does at least listen, and he answers the phone and he answers emails. So I will say this is that I did see there's an item on there from Gary related to needles. I don't know. I think
let's get through this. We'll do the agenda next.
All right.
There's the rest of these committees. No disrespect to anybody. Well, no. Public Works does some. Gets some stuff of consequence. That is Chairperson Tony Economou with Sacha Mitra and John Fasolo. And I'll just round out the rest of it here. Urban Tech, Innovation and Environment is Louis Ojeda, Jose Rivera, and Councilor Christian King. Veterans Memorials, Parks, and Recreation. And so, although he did give Jenny Pasillo, I think, this committee last time, and the mayor certainly likes Jenny, I'm not so sure how much stuff this Veterans Memorial, Parks, and Recreation gets. I don't know if that's an indication of what he feels about Fasolo, because Fasolo is the chair of that committee, along with Bellotta and Jose Rivera. And Public Service and Transportation. I mean, I think this is the right choice. It's probably a good place for Rob Bellotta, who's the chairperson of that committee, with Fasolo and Ojeda. And also the Education Committee, Christian King, Tony Economou, and Gary Rosen. Gary, a former school teacher, former school committee and all that. So that's all of them. Blow through the last one, because, I mean, not a whole bunch ends up there. It's not really their fault, because of course, in our stupid city system of government, in a real government, chairpersons could initiate their own meeting, their own agenda, not just things referred to them by the council. They could have hearings, bring in witnesses, ask questions, do investigations, and they don't need the permission of the larger body. But here, of course, they only get what they're given, which allows the council writ large to control everything that happens in committees, as well as everything that happens in the council. It is, I mean, I think it's fair to say that, the majority kind of coalition in the city council has more ability to control the agenda than the party in power at the federal level.
Yeah, I think that the city, that's very true. And so, I mean, again, the agenda is set before once the election ends and there was no real change in the election, no change in thought process or even ideas. Not that, and again, the way that it's approached, very much, again, another Hank Stoll show kind of thing, that there's the chaos candidates versus this other thing. Because everywhere else, Mayor Petty, Chief of Police Saucier, Eric Batista, Tim Murray, everywhere else, they project that the city of Worcester is a top 10 place in the country to live, top 10 place to do business, one of the safest cities in the country. It's only chaos when there's maybe people who might not go along with the chamber and the inherently built structures. But other than there was a couple of meetings that made the news, which is so funny. If you get on Channel 5, you have a chance to change the way the city does business, because man, do they listen to Channel 5. If Channel 5 is going to say something negative, the city manager is going to be next day on a flight somewhere, making sure that it is fixed, because Maria Stefano said something, not going. I should call Maria and ask her to cover more things in the city of Worcester. Maybe that'll help us get stuff done. Excuse me. Apologize.
Yeah, it's
Very
see, I don't know though. I mean, look, there's been a number of stories from this city that have got into the national media cycle. Some of them are the police, and they don't change that. They just keep doing the same thing.
By the way, 6-3 Patriots going into the half.
That's a dumpster fire over there.
In Boston. There's still a chance that my score prediction will work out. We're still on pace for that.
Yeah, I mean, Worcester's okay. Our government is trash.
Well, I love Worcester. I love the city of Worcester. I love the people. The people are the best. But there's some people in charge that are not helpful all the time.
I mean, if you need to, if you want to see, right-wing Democrat policy in action, here is the place. You got it. Well, and, at the United States Senate. I mean, at the United States Congress. There you can also see, right-wing Democrats in action because they dominate. So the first meeting of this new council meets on Tuesday, 6:30 at City Hall. I've never been this high up on the agenda when I have a problem. Adopt the rules of the city council. How about no? How about either? I mean, there's no reason to have a Rule 9 because there is no purview issue because according to the mayor, the councilors can bring anything they want, even though he first said that when they did the Israel resolution, that was a mistake and they shouldn't have allowed it. So they're not going to allow it in the future, but now councils can bring whatever they want.
Pretty much.
We don't even know what the rules are because they're just kind of made up on the fly. So maybe they should fix the rules. I don't know. Act like a governing body and not a country club. Where the rules are just by executive fiat, when he so chooses. It's ridiculous. No. But nobody will object. They'll just move along. And then, I mean, how can you operate in a body when you don't know what the rules are and they can be changed on a dime? Well, they can be reinterpreted. I misinterpreted the rules.
Yeah,
it's very Belichickian.
So, yeah, not only that. I mean, one of the things that they talked about was getting back to, we're going to get back to business. We're just going to do business, in the city of Worcester. Just these kind of basic, things that apparently we weren't doing last year, and it works out. In my estimation, that what it does is it denies regular people the opportunity to do anything petition-wise that isn't traffic and parking. And you can see right here on the very first agenda that's how it's going to work out. I mean, of the 30 petitions, 29 of them are traffic and parking. And the 30th one is a national grid petition. So that's that. I mean, it's stop signs and painting and speed humps and all that other stuff. And zoning designations and converting roads and honorary street names and
that's all fine and good. That stuff's going to be done.
Yeah,
but it's just that that's apparently they have no new ideas. The council apparently doesn't because I mean the 8 people that are going to vote against, for example, the 8 people that are going to vote against Civilian Review Board, they have no other ideas. They've proposed nothing.
So
besides the status quo,
right,
which doesn't work and is riddled with conflicts of interest. But
yeah, well,
they have no ideas.
What I was going to say is that in Boston, which they do compare themselves to a lot, in Boston, their version of the Traffic and Parking Committee doesn't need to bring these items to the city council agenda. It has a full-time staff, it has a full-time operation, and it reports back only when there's a conflict. So the city council doesn't even have to really vote. Now, of course, Boston, like us, has a lot of historic places. So that's really where the city council gets involved in Boston, is if a historic place is going to be adjusted or if there's a major development. But they really do work within their kind of their individual rounds. Each of them have their full time. They have full city dockets and full Each one has different roles. Ours do not have the same kind of thing. But if you just look at this agenda, if you just took those items and they never touched the city council agenda, they just immediately went to traffic and parking automatically, then you'd have a lot more time, right?
Mhm.
And by the way, it's going to take literally 2 minutes because the mayor it's going to be on a roll call. It's going to be on a roll call,
Yep.
go to traffic and parking. No one's going to talk about any of these items. It's going to be an 11-0 vote, straight through, straight sailing the whole time. So that it gives you an idea of what they want. They want everything to be, it's filed, it's done, it's on the way. We're out of there by 8:30. That's it, right? No
Oh yeah.
conflicts, no
Yeah.
no argument, nothing. It's going to be
Yeah. Right. Right. No, don't debate anything because it's all been decided ahead of time anyway.
even
And
even like the grants and stuff. For example, they got this $63,000 grant from UMass, and basically it's just they vote on a roll call that they'll just take it, they'll get the money,
yeah, they have to approve.
right?
Yeah.
But I always wonder when I see these grants come in, where does it go to? Does it just go to the general fund? Do they ever have like a specific attachment? And I'm not saying that I want every single counselor every single time to ask a question related to every single item. I'm not saying that. What I am saying though is I'd like one to ask one. Like what, like, hey, where does this money go to, Eric? Where, Mr. Manager, through the chair.
I mean yeah. Oh God, do away with that. Nobody does that anymore. For God's sake.
Yeah,
it's not like you have any respect for that the history of that institution. You've defiled it over the last term. So get rid of this. Yeah, get rid of this stupid phrase that you say 400 times that nobody does.
Leanne's still talking about her parking ticket.
She's very upset.
They sent her a picture of the sign. The two signs they sent her a picture of. One was like a regular neighborhood watch sign, and one was a construction sign. None of them were no parking.
Oh, don't get me on checks and balances, Leanne. Don't.
Why is there a cheese symbol?
You see, they don't do checks and balances. Well, they pretend to, right? Because of course, as the folks that founded this country, and look, slavery was always immoral. I don't care when it was illegal. If you did it, you were wrong. But these people also knew a whole lot about government. If they were alive today, they still would probably be foremost experts on governance on this planet because they knew a lot of stuff.
Right.
The whole point of checks and balances was supposed to be independent check and balances, right? The whole, three branches of government equal and, but distinctly independent. And they just won't. They know more than Madison, I guess.
Well, they know better. They know better. Way smarter than that guy.
Yes. What they have is, in our system, the way they operate, it leads to, practically majority dictatorship at all times, right? And there's always a majority government because they pick the city manager, so he's there, right? He's obviously going to be aligned with the majority, because, and as he should be, because he's a hired gun, he's not elected. And so what you always have is, a city council majority with an executive who's not going to check them because one, he probably shouldn't, he's hired. And two, they hire him, right? So it's it's the way they operate it. It's it's not a city government. They do not operate a city government. They operate a town government in a very inverted and perverted way. And yeah, the other thing I was going to say is, remember we had 41 items on the agenda. And these protesters came and stalled city government's business. They voted 20 of those items on that agenda on one vote.
Yeah, that was the thing. That the same thing. If you look at all the items that are on this agenda, again, like I said, 30 petitions. 29 of them are traffic and parking. One's for national review. They in their mind they think that they handled 30 items, but that's literally one roll call vote. And it goes and no conversation. So like that's how they want you to think that they're doing a lot of business. And if you go back in time and look at the minutes, they'll be like, "Hey, look, we did 30 items here."
Yeah. Yeah.
No, he didn't. I know he didn't, but no, but regular people don't necessarily, because it's hard to get people to go to the meeting and pay attention and why it's important, and so it's very interesting. The items that are going to have the most conversation are leftovers from last year that people don't like the former city councilor, so they're going to yell and scream about those items.
And then we get to so this finance orders and whatnot, but then we get to chairperson's orders, and it gets a little interesting.
Yeah.
Attell dropping a few bombs on her way out the door, which is pretty funny. So she was chair of Urban Tech Innovation and Environment, and she wants the committee to review testimony provided to the committee on December 15th. Related to the city's social media policy failing to address concerns relative to posts made by members of the Worcester Police Department on their police union Facebook page. And then there's another one related to social media policy, hold a public, request Committee on Municipal and Legislative Operations hold a public hearing relative to receiving feedback as to ways the city's social media policy can be updated and or more properly enforced. So there's an interesting thing in the city's social media policy. If you're an employee and you dox another employee or contractor, that's the penalty is up to termination. If you dox somebody who is not an employee and not a contractor, that's okay. That's kind of interesting, isn't it?
It is. And so, which of course is what they've done. I have more than one source that says that first item is going to be filed. It will not even make it to the committee.
Of course it won't.
And that they already have the vote to file
it. Yep.
So, which of course they do. It would probably be 9-2.
Yeah.
Maybe 8-3. I'm not sure. About the third vote.
Yeah. It'll be the only interesting thing about that is the race to get the motion to file. Who gets to file the motion so they can prove their loyalty to their daddy?
Is 12
to their owner.
Yeah.
So they can prove their loyalty to their owner.
12B at least has some, like they, whether they have the city, for example, the city did a great, and I was thinking about if I was gonna give any public comment tomorrow and Tuesday, and my thought was maybe on 12B that I would say the city made a decision last year without notifying anybody to eliminate comments on their Facebook page during the live portion of the city council. So during that time, there was multiple city employees who were saying not nice things to citizens of the city of Worcester. And of course, there's never been an investigation into those comments, threats, including by people that are public safety personnel. And so, dox means to reveal or to show someone's personal information online. So if if like someone's address, they would pop your address on the screen, and that's doxing you. It's trying to get somebody who's on the internet who's crazy to go threaten you or send something to your house or something silly like that.
Yep.
It's just the way it would
just happened to me.
Yeah, it just happened to Tom. Yeah. To Tom.
Yeah. Because of me. So yeah, it's I mean, maybe they'll ask for a legal opinion on I don't know what. Rather than file it, which is what they really want to do, they'll just ask for a legal opinion and then tell Eric just never bring that back, like they did with the. I'm really trying to bait them into responding to that if the auditor can audit.
Can the auditor audit?
Can the auditor audit? We don't know. We need a legal opinion that'll never come back. Because we can't even have records appropriately at the police department. That's too much to ask because a police officer might get offended by that, and that's what all the city government is focused on is not offending police officers. Of course, most police officers don't care. It's union brass that they're pledging their loyalty to.
There's a couple of reports here that they have slated to adopt that are interesting. So one's on the turnover rate at the police department, which related to retirements, and they are in a recruitment crisis over there, having a hard time recruiting people to become.
Well, their numbers are fine now, but the slated retirements are going to cause a problem.
Yeah,
or the potential retirements. See, I don't know that any of those people have actually declared yet, or the large number of them have actually declared that they're going to retire.
So they can. They don't have to, right? You can technically. Yeah. Can't you stay until you're 70? Is that the rule?
I don't remember if it's that old. Yeah, I mean they can choose when they go, but I mean
so they can retire as early as 55, depending on how many years they have it.
If they got 30, yeah.
Yeah. So then and then I think the mandatory retirement is at 70. But I'm not sure about command officers. I don't know if there is a mandatory retirement age.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's 70. If someone knows better than me, please correct. But I'm pretty sure it's 70. And so, I mean, what it is there was 63 officers who were all turning 65.
And all eligible.
All became eligible this year, right?
Yep. And I mean, if look, the way the pension system works is it's the average of your last 3 years. So if you hit 30 years and you don't have promotion in your horizon, there's no reason to stay. You can go get what is it, 3/4, half, 3/4? I forget what it is now. 3/4 of the pay.
Yeah,
80%. 80%, I think it is.
Yeah.
So you take 80% of your pay as a pension, and then go get a job, and then go do something you want to do for a little extra money, and you're making more money. If you make a smidgen of money, you're almost certainly going to make more money than you were while working.
Yeah, I mean, Maureen Bienda is one of the best at that. She's currently collecting her pension from the city, for over 30 years, Worcester Public Schools. She's an assistant superintendent at one school. I think she's a superintendent at another school system, and she's a school committee.
I think that ended.
Well, so she only.
I think she's still in one of those. I think she's still in.
She's the assistant, but not. She doesn't have 3 jobs right now. She only has 2.
Yeah. No, she's not an assistant. She's an interim, I think, superintendent still.
And she's a part-time school committee member.
A school committee member, yeah. But they got paid nothing. I mean,
right. So the pension that at the end she was making $200,000. So
she was there for 6 years. So
of $200,000. So she's $160,000 pension for life. By the way, that's not a bad way to go out. Plus the $30,000 from the school committee, plus the job that she's probably making
not 30,000. It's half that. I think it's like 18.
18? Oh, okay.
They get paid nothing.
They get paid nothing.
Yeah, I mean, not literally nothing, but it might as well be.
Because they have like 3 times the amount of work to do that the city council does, and they get paid.
They also have more power. They actually can do stuff. But of course, the city council can do stuff. It chooses not to. It's a big difference.
That's funny. Typical with school-related positions, though. You always fund the school positions halfway. Never, and ask them to do more. Do more with less.
But yeah, so turnover rate will be interesting. Of course, any reasons why they're leaving the department, I don't know if they're doing exit interviews. It'd be interesting to see the number of transfers too, like who's staying in the job but wants out of there. I mean, in general, this certainly doesn't apply to everyone. Nothing's a broad brush, but in general, if you want to make as much money as humanly possible, this is the place because there's endless details and there's tons of overtime. If you don't want to deal with city stuff, or in some cases, the Worcester Police Department wasn't for certain people, whether it be reputation or the political stuff or whatever, and they transfer out to often to a neighboring town, where the workload's less, the nonsense is less, and the crime is typically not as serious. But you don't have the opportunity to make endless money.
Someone's knocking at the outside door of my office. If I get murdered, do like a candle for me.
We'll turn John off till he comes back. And it's also from Urban Tech. So the order on the somebody was knocking on his door. He'll be right back. He is back. You're back.
I was not murdered.
Good. So the request for the report on the turnover rate at the police departments from the Public Safety Committee back to Urban Tech. They asked for Chief Information Officer and City Solicitor reply to City Council with a report concerning technology available to monitor social media usage. So really a tirade, really not a tirade, but a lot of shots about social media on the way out from Mattel's committee.
Right.
Or a lot of requests at least want to, provide the council with information to see what they do with it, maybe, which is probably nothing.
It's exciting that it's on the agenda because now people who have experienced this, for example, on several police union Facebook pages, I have been the subject of ridicule and all kinds of fun false statements by current sitting city police officers. So I get to go and so the fun thing is that they think I can't see it. There's this incredible. I don't want to tell them because if they're watching, but they don't realize that everything they do is saved forever. Forever. And so an event, and also someone sends anytime me and Tom's name gets mentioned anywhere, there's like 15 texts within minutes that something is going down. And if I don't receive something in the first few minutes of the day, I'll receive something, within an hour or a couple hours that day. We'll know that day. So it seems that they're current employees. And the question has been, as a current employee who's like in a cruiser somewhere, should they be texting defamatory, statements? Are they using their own devices when they do that? Are they using a city-owned device? Is the city tracking that information? Can they track that information? These are all legitimate questions. And then is the city liable? Is a really big question because, I've thought about that this year. This has been a couple of false statements made. And since everybody's slinging lawsuits around, I've thought about it myself. Like, should I sue this current police officer who made statements about me on one page? Should I sue him? You know what I mean? Because he wrote something completely false. No, I shouldn't do that. No, just let it go. I should let it slide.
No, kids, people say things.
But it's false and defamatory, Tom. So I want to get paid.
I mean, I think it's kind of chicken shit, but whatever. I'm
just saying. I mean, is the city responsible or is that officer responsible?
If they're on the job, I don't know. That's an interesting question.
It's a very interesting question. Very interesting
question. Also, again, the Urban Tech Committee, Tal is chairperson until obviously this year, but this is from their last meeting. Manager provides City Council will report concerning any efforts made by the city to address concerns brought forth by the public and elected officials over posts made by city employees on their social media accounts. Another provides City Council with a report concerning process used by the city's various departments to make a press release. Provides City Council a report concerning feasibility of updating the city's social media policy. Still, same committee. There's a whole bunch of them here. Request Chief Information Officer provide City Council with a report concerning best practices used in other communities relative to monitoring the social media usage of their employees, including specific technology used. Request Sustainability Officer provide City Council with seasonal updates relative to data associated with water bodies in the city. Something about Lake Kunsig. That's really the end of the social media stuff. But interesting. You know, they're not going to change anything because they are, you know.
Are they going to take these all up in one vote?
Oh, probably.
Yeah. It's going to be
Probably.
interesting.
Maybe they'll ask for legal opinion on if social media is social media.
Is social media social media? Is it, Tom? Can the auditor audit social media?
Can the auditor audit and is social media social media? And then public. There's actually some interesting stuff here, although it's like the topics are not. You know, they're of course avoiding tough topics because that's what they do. That's why they stop letting you petition, because they don't want to have to answer questions that they don't want to answer, even if they're pertinent to the residents of the city, because they don't care. But from public service and transportation, you know, asking for and this is Gary Rosen, who used to be on the WRTA board, encouraging Worcester Regional public hearings, and later make recommendations encouraging the Worcester Regional Transit Authority to improve its bus service to the city's residents and businesses, and give some considerations. But that's also interesting as the former board member. And then I'm sure what you've been waiting for. I'm glad he threw a shot in the first one. Request city manager require Spectrum to finally fulfill its contractual obligation to provide, even retroactively, all senior subscribers in Worcester to its cable TV service with a long overdue senior discount.
I'm so excited about this because I feel like, at least with this, on this one subject, Gary agrees with me about everything. On this one thing, one person who hates Spectrum as much as I do is the one and only Gary Rosen. So hopefully we can use this to push. Of course, he probably doesn't know that I believe that cable is obsolete, and Spectrum, we shouldn't be entering into 10-year deals with a cable company that might get bought anyways. So might get bought by Netflix.
But if they get bought, they can't get out of the contract.
Well, so yes, they can, because the current FCC chairman has allowed all of their contracts, which is part of what's happened in the negotiation, for technology obsolescence. So if a company determines that a technology no longer serves them an opportunity to either break even or make a profit. So the company makes an internal decision: how much does it cost to operate a cable system, and then how much do we get from it? They can convert, which they've already started to do. So Spectrum already offers a version of cable over streaming that is not considered cable by the current FCC chairman, Brendan Carr. And so the Spectrum has already told its shareholders that it will convert all cable subscribers to streaming subscribers by 2028. So the city manager is faced with this decision. Does he sign the contract, and then they would lose all of that money and any ability to negotiate, to regulate, to have Spectrum do anything that they're supposed to do? The only option that the city would then have at the end of that period would be to kick them out entirely and eliminate any cable services of any kind, unless there was a local operator. Because Verizon, although Verizon is installed, I think it's like 82% of the city now, and they expect to finish by the end of this year to be available 100% Fios. That's not cable. And they're not offering a cable version. They're just offering Verizon, and then you can get other services, but you have to pay an additional fee. There's no separate cable thing that comes with that. So that's kind of the big deal. Is that going to be
Verizon stopped rolling new cable service? I mean, like I know Northborough has still, the places that they rolled out cable, they still maintain it. Last I knew, it was still in Northborough. But they stopped rolling out, running new cable service years ago, 3 or 4 years ago.
And as far as I just looked it up in my notes. The Northwell contract ends next year, and I don't think Verizon is going to maintain a cable service after that. They're not going to reapply for a franchise agreement. But Northborough, their leadership has already moved towards trying to figure out a way to charge for internet deployment over telephone lines, and that's happening all over the country now. Now, at this point, thousands and thousands of municipalities across the country are moving to tax cable companies, internet companies, phone companies that are delivering internet to their citizens, and they're charging a fee. In some cases, in New York City, not the guy before Mandami was talking about a 1 cent per 1 cent per foot from the street to the building fee, which you might think, well, that doesn't sound like a lot, but there's a lot of giant buildings in New York City, so it ends up being a lot of wires, right? And so it was an interesting thing and a unique kind of way, and that would allow a company to write it off as an expensive, technology, right? Which would then, be something that might help them. And so I thought it was a very innovative idea, even though he was doing a bunch of other stuff that wasn't great, Ernie Adams. We'll see. It's good that it's on the agenda. It's possible that this might be something that they decide to go for now because they don't have to deal with any social issues. So they'll just go with the cable thing as a thing. But it also is possible that that some of the city councilors, I don't know where their interests lie when it comes to the company of Spectrum,
I mean, let me tell you, the very first thing this is not going to happen, but the very first thing I would do if I was a counselor this session is the very first meeting, I would stand up to speak on the new, the installations that the utility companies and the cable companies want to do. And I'd say as of February 1, every one of these requests that we get, if I don't have a list of the residents in this city that it is benefiting, I will vote against them. And then on March 1, if I still don't have the same information, I will hold every one of them.
Yeah, and so if you remember, when I first did this, there was a couple that were held by different counselors, right? So Kate held one, Jenny held one, Donna held one, and then
Candy held one too.
Huh? Candy held one too. And then Spectrum reached out to Candy and Kate and said that it was affecting somebody who was disabled, like it was preventing an installation for disabled. I had to prove to them both that Spectrum was lying. And then if you remember, it was like 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, Candy got up and was like, I called them and they were lying. She was very upset because it turned out that they were lying. Of course, she never believed me about anything else, but that was definitely Spectrum lies. That's what they do. They lie. Yep. No doubt.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, because I'm not interested in extending Spectrum's network into Holden or Pat, wherever it might be going over the border. That's not of my interest. I'm not interested in ceding city government, city land to you to make for you to make more money in other towns. That doesn't interest me because you're not interested because you yanked all of your employees out of here and you've been jerking us around with a whole bunch of things and not fulfilling your contract. I mean, I just don't, if it's an individual with no money, they'll hammer them.
Yeah.
If it's residents who want to petition the city council, no. But if it's a big company, they just keep screwing us over. It's fine.
Yeah. It's funny too because obviously when I got involved with the cable commission, Gary was still on the council, and so he was at the time he was very supportive. And then of course when he left, the only counselors that supported me really consistently were Christian, Attell, and Jenny, and they would regularly support those cable items, and I couldn't get any of the other ones ever to say anything other than when the mayor had to defend me. When the city manager decided to say our report was bullshit. And Joe had to get up and say, no, it wasn't. But he didn't do anything. He just said the cable committee did a good job, which I appreciated at the time, but it didn't lead to any actionable thing. And the city's now wasted 2 years and change of money, people's money, into Spectrum's pockets. And by the Spectrum, again, one of the things that happened when I was on that committee is I got them to admit that they were that our contract's the most lucrative one that they have in the entire Northeast is the city of Worcester, and so they're making money hand over fist with this system, and they're not doing any upgrades because they don't need to. No one's holding them accountable.
Right. Because accountability is for poor people.
Yeah, we don't like poor people in Worcester.
From
bad.
Oh, I lost it. Oh, yeah, here it is. From Councilor King. This is also interesting. A report on the status of the city's 911 application alert Worcester system. The city's automated emergency notification system, including information relative to whether the city is in the process of identifying a new vendor for such a purpose. Said report also include information concerning the usage plans for such a system moving forward, including how residents will be effectively notified of winter parking bans, severe weather alerts, community weather alerts, etc. And then lastly, request city manager grant relief to any residents who receive tickets during the winter parking bans due to lack of notification by the city.
Leanne, this might help you.
Interesting.
Now that is interesting. It really is, because the that's the first time that I didn't read this one before, but Alert Worcester has been down because it got hacked for a little while, which is a report that Tom wrote.
That was a while ago. I mean, there is no, it was what do you call it? It was ransom attack. It was ransomware attack. So they basically lost the system, which was a legacy system anyways, years old. That's probably why it was vulnerable. So they're rebuilding the system from the ground up. But I mean, that's not.
That could take.
They're rebuilding the system with new attack, obviously, from the ground up, and I mean that's just going to take time. So now there's no alerts.
And by the way, if you look at Facebook on all the Worcester pages, everybody's been complaining all winter about lack of notification from the city.
Yep. And I mean, I haven't looked at it, since I wrote the piece, which was a few weeks ago now, at least. But at the time they were giving no timetable.
Yeah, there is. As far as I know, if you go look at the company that did its website, which was we did the research for it, they don't have a timeline themselves.
And that's what I mean. Yeah.
Part of it is they have to disconnect the old system from all of the municipalities that they provided it to first, completely take it offline, which is, I think they're still dealing with that.
Well, so it was ransomware attack. I mean, they literally don't have control of the system.
Right. So it's just I'm assuming that means they got to manually unplug. So I'll repeat it in a second, Leanne. They have to manually unplug those systems, because if they don't have control.
No, I mean, it's an API. So once the new system is up, they just point it at the same endpoints and it goes out. But they need to rebuild the whole thing.
Right. So the Councilor King, Leanne, put in a request, basically, that the city manager grant relief to people who received tickets over the past few months because the automated system that tells people when they can and cannot park has been down. So that is actually another defense for you, is that the system has been down.
Yeah, and they promoted people signing up for this thing for years, and then it just goes offline.
Yeah. And then they hold people accountable to it, and then it's not working. And of course, again, and I've said this many times, and the city doesn't believe me, nobody watches your Facebook posts.
Nobody.
Literally nobody. Which is why you get mad at us, because we break news and you don't. That's what
I'll give Councilor Rivera credit here. This is a decent, kind of populist thing he's got for his first order. Request Public Works provide City Council a report detailing the feasibility of expanding the spring street sweeping program to include the pickup of leaves and branches that were not picked up during the fall program. People will love that.
Yeah, that's a very populist.
People will love that.
Thing. People, because they never do, and the sweeping program doesn't work right. So and that's part of the reason why Leanne got a ticket, I think, is that they were doing the sweeping and they didn't post the signs. Remember, they used to hang the signs all over the uh yeah, I'll have to explain it to you better afterwards, Leanne. But basically, it's an opportunity for you to argue that there was no notification. Yes, yes, and it looks like Councilor King and Councilor Rivera are trying to fix it.
And then
Gary Rosen's anti bike lanes.
oh, here we go with this stupidity. Request city manager, request commissioner of transportation, and all the city's traffic, mobility, and enforcement experts review and provide city council a report long before construction begins concerning Mass Department of Transportation's current design and plans to make pedestrian and bicycle improvements to Pleasant Street, Route 122, from Tactic Square to the Paxton Line. And then it's just like it's weird. It's just like a statement in here. The state's proposed plan involves reconstructing existing sidewalk construction, 5 foot wide sidewalks where feasible, and adding a 5 foot wide bike lane along the roadway. Acquisitions in fee and permanent or temporary easements may be required. And there are unanswered questions regarding whose responsibility it will be to shovel snow from these sidewalks. Mass DOT has the right to make decisions in state highway matters. The city of Worcester, the city's residents, and businesses have the responsibility to speak up and act if there are legitimate safety concerns with this or any other road project. My God, Gary.
So I'm tempted to make part of my public comment Tuesday, say maybe Mr. Rosen should go to the meetings that the state has held, and he could express his concerns there, because they have held it. Now, I agree. If you look at this plan, again, the state does not care about how they roll out the communications on these programs. Yeah. They do not. And if you going to that meeting, there were quite a few people there, although you couldn't tell if you read the Guardian or the Telegram and Gazette's reports, that were residents who supported this plan. And there were a smaller group of people who were, booing from the back, who are against this program. Again, it's a confusing program, and Gary kind of tries to explain that in here, because the bike lanes are not the whole thing. There are already bike lanes on certain parts of that road. So what it says is that they're going to add sidewalks in some places and extend the bike lanes in other places. It's not really clear if the bike lane would be all the way to Paxton or not. It doesn't really explain that way. So I think it's a legitimate conversation to be having with the state officials. However, if you go to these meetings now, and I've been to a few of these state meetings, they don't give a bleep. They do not care at all. And this is really an issue of our legislative delegation doing their job. So this is the state reps and state senators who, again, I don't want to be combative. It's the first, we're like a second show of the year. But I will say this. For a long time, the Worcester state delegation, whether it's state senators or state representatives, has been very ceremonial in nature, right? Because the agenda for the legislature is set by the Speaker of the House. And so often, all that happens in our local Worcester-based delegation is they get committee assignments, and then sometimes those committee assignments can lead to money coming back to certain towns and certain cities in the Commonwealth. In central Massachusetts. And in this case, these things have been determined by the state. Not this plan didn't come up like yesterday. This plan was voted on, the earliest I could find, Tom, was 2011. And then it was only reported to the city of Worcester in 2019. So they have these internal discussions about what roads and lanes they want to expand and do for certain corridors and all this stuff. And they don't ever communicate it back to the city. And part of that's because they don't communicate it to the legislative, our legislators. And part of that is our legislators don't ask. And so I think that there needs to be some kind of communication channel that is brought up with the state legislators, both our reps and our state senators, about communicating these things back to the neighborhoods. So
also, just because you brought up the State House, I believe it made the ballot. It was headed that way. I haven't seen the final list, but I believe there is going to be a referendum question about stipend reform in the House. So in the House, they make 10% below median income, so they don't really make a lot of money. But you can get assigned to committees, which is the executive fiat of, like it is here, the executive fiat of the Speaker of the House, and that's how you can actually make a living working in the State House. And he can remove you at any time. So you take a vote he doesn't like, he pulls you, and you lose your money. It is, the most obvious way in which the State House is, the House of Representatives at the State House is just a dictatorship. And so I believe that is stipend reform is that's the extra pay they get for being on the committees, so I think there's a reform question that's going to be on the ballot, and for the love of God, vote for that, because the House at the state level is just captured by one. Of course,
when you do vote for it, he'll try to find a way not to make it happen.
Yeah, vote for it anyway.
No, I'm with that. I'm with that. So I think I appreciate Gary. I appreciate this item, except for I wonder what it's really about. And so if it's just against the bike lanes thing, I think that's a broader city council argument that would benefit from public discussion, and there just never has been. And I mean, I think this is one of the big failures of this city manager when it came to the Mill Street redesign. He just failed to explain it to people. And it just was a real failure. And the state in its implementation, because remember, that was controlled by the city. The rollout of Mill Street was controlled by the city, but the state funded it. Okay. In this case, the state funded it and the state controls it. So it's not something that a city councilor was involved in the design of. No one was involved. But it does look like there was some conversation between state officials and residents, because I went to that meeting. And there was a bunch of people who had already been there and had already been involved with those conversations. So this is a neighborhood issue. There's some neighbors who don't want it. There's some neighbors who do. I don't know who's right or wrong, but the thing is, the neighbors who do seem to have gotten ahead of it by getting they've already been involved, guys. So I don't know what. And by the way, this is not even the biggest project coming down the line. The biggest one is going to be the double rotary project at Worcester State, and that's going to be a huge problem. The design, the layout, the construction, it's just going to be a big deal. This one's ahead of that in the chute. So it would be great if the city council could establish themselves as a place where people could come and talk about it.
Actually, no. I was giving this some thought today, related to police stuff, but in this context, no, they don't, because city council isn't a conversation. Where are the public forums where there's a back and forth and you can ask your councilor questions about the things they support?
Sure.
Well, they won't even let you. Well, they're not going to do that. They won't even let you bring a petition. So they're not going to have a conversation with you in public.
If you listen to Mo Bergman, the neighborhood meetings process works well. And that's where one person who's generally approved by whoever the district councilor is controls what people can say and can't say. It's not an open forum, the neighborhood meetings. They're not. They're sometimes open for some people. But there is no forum in the city of Worcester where people can just ask their representatives direct questions. Even in the public comment period at city council, you can't ask a question. You can just say something out loud and then hope your counselor listens. But again, they don't.
Right. And right. And I once upon a time I petitioned that the city council hold a public forum about the DOJ report and invite the city manager and the chief of police to said forum, and was told that that was outside of the purview of the city council to speak to residents about. It's ridiculous.
It's against the rules.
It's against the rules for them to talk to you. They'll do it in private. They'll talk to you in private, and they'll tell you a whole bunch of things. You have a private conversation, but actually addressing issues in the city in public where there's a back and forth, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Never mind one of these people actually appear and take questions from the media, like the city manager. God forbid. He almost did it that when they unveiled the fund there through the United Way. What was that for? I forget. Oh, it was when Snap was was teetering on the edge. He actually, was there with like 40 people, and the media was there and asked him questions. That's the first time he's actually stood before, the gaggle, if you will, and took a question.
Third quarter report: the Patriots are winning 9-3. It's apparently a barn burner over there in Foxborough.
Well, all those people that chose to watch that instead of this, that's what you get. You get 9-3. Gary also has an order on establishing a collection system. Hold on. Let me get it right. Similar to an ordinance passed in Boston requiring retail pharmacies in the city to establish a collection system, such as an indoor-outdoor kiosk, to accept hypodermic needles, lancets, and other sharps from the public at no charge for proper disposal. Go ahead, Gary. Go ahead, Gary.
So it's funny. I can actually answer my own question, which was, "What are they going to just take up all of Attel's things in one?" And the answer is yes, because actually, Section 17, they just put all of the reports together in another item, 17A through D, and it's just accept to be placed on file. All four are recommended to be put on file. I don't know who did that exactly. The attachment, I wonder. I'm sure I have to read that more, but it looks like they've already preemptively. Looks like they're going to just put it on file. 17A.
Of course they will, because they don't care about anybody in the city. And if an employee doxes you or does something horrible to you, they don't care at all. At all.
I would say this
is that they don't get yelled at by their dad, and that is police union.
I would say this though: if after this is, if it's filed, any time after this that someone is doxed or they have some kind of inappropriate behavior by a city employee on city social media or related social media going forward, I think that this would make a real argument that the city deliberately was indifferent to it, and that would open the city up to lawsuit.
No, because real quick, it'll be the second time in our lifetime that you hear about an independent city council. To the council, it doesn't have any money. It's not a city decision to not change the policy. Watch then be independent real quick again. Any other time though, no, can't do anything. We're not independent.
It's the city council's fault. So then, here's the thing: it opens up the question: what if someone dies? Because Gary doesn't like people die. But someone is hurt or harmed in some way, who is ultimately potentially responsible? And I understand that the only real way it works is the court of public opinion in this city. And so it's just if someone was embarrassed enough, then they would get consequences.
Right.
But you don't get consequences in the city unless you're truly you've truly embarrassed the city all together. That's the only way.
It said it doesn't. Because I got the one with the attachments up. Oh, you look at the attachments. I'll look at it later. They really, who makes that recommendation? I thought that's the recommendation of the committee.
So, if I understand it rightly, there's a new. I don't know who. Maybe not. Maybe this was Attel. Maybe Attel changed it all. Because one is now a public hearing relative, so maybe she just took these were older ones that she filed. I'm not sure. I'd have to ask Attel. And I don't know who makes that decision. If it's
Or is that the new chair of that committee? I don't know who it is.
Yeah, I mean, before maybe they decided to combine them or something.
Of course,
It's
there was no meeting, so how are you making those? I don't know. They do what they want. They don't care. And what else is interesting here? Is there anything else you saw that was interesting? Those are the most interesting ones I thought.
Yeah.
Oh no, Rob Bellotta has two. One on improvements to Lake Ave for accessibility. Curb extensions, raised crosswalks, blah 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 blah. And I like that he notes that the Lake Ave corridor is identified as a Vision Zero priority network. Good job, Rob. I like it.
Yeah, but make sure to put it right back on the city manager, right?
Yeah, right.
By the way, Vision Zero, we've had this conversation on the show multiple times. It's probably, and we're not the only people that feel this way. I think that I've heard. I think Bill Shaner's written this before. I think I've seen a lot of people that do media in the city have said this. Vision Zero might be the best thing that's come out of city management in a long time. It's a great plan that potentially could lead to something that's been an issue for Worcester's entire existence, which is pedestrian deaths caused by maniac drivers. Because the city is full of maniac drivers. Just absolutely. There was a I was actually coming down Highland Street. I was near the Boynton, and there was a guy. I was at the red light right past the Boynton at Highland, that red light right there, where the parking lot for the sole proprietor is, right? And there was a guy. It was a green light going this way, and there was a guy on one of those scooters, right? And he was in the road, and he had a blinker. So he had a blinker on his scooter, and he was taking a right-hand turn, right? There was nobody going the other way. So he had the right of way. Like if any car was taking that right, that would be right. I was at a red light. The people across from me were at the red light. The guy who was directly across from me decided to run the red light and take a left turn at the same time that guy was taking a right turn. And if you understand physics, that meant this. And the scooter guy kind of like hopped up onto the curb and ended up on the sidewalk there by the old frame store, and then ended up back in the street. Then he stopped and looked back at the guy. and so that's a normal thing in Worcester. People are just crazy with the way they drive. So, maybe some of these mobility things. I mean, Rob used to go around streets in his chair and audit whether or not they were accessible for him for a long time. So he knows this stuff probably better than anybody else.
Yeah. And he also has another one that's relatively the same on Lincoln Street about improvements.
Right.
This was I read through this on Friday, and I was like, a bunch of do about nothing. But as we're going through it now, I'm like, there's actually some decent stuff here. Councilor King on a report concerning if and to what extent the Public Works Department collaborates with schools during winter weather events to aid in determining the appropriateness of delaying or the opening of schools and or granting a full snow day. That's obviously relative to, what was that, Friday? When it was ice hell out there?
Yeah.
No, it was Wednesday. It was Wednesday.
School should not have been open that day. That was wild.
Yeah.
There was on Pleasant Street. No, not Pleasant Street. What's the street that's directly across from Mechanics Hall? I forget that street.
Yeah.
But anyways, someone had parked on the hill by where the traffic where the parking lot is, and their car slid all the way down and then turned into that wall where the bank is. And so that kind of weather, man, you never know, dude. With ice can go all kinds of bad ways.
I guess if you go to the planning board and you're in the top tier of the 2-tier system, you can get a petition on. Worcester Academy looking for a zoning change. I don't care about the zoning change. It's just, upon petition of who? Oh, yeah, somebody. That's why it's there. So yeah, that's there's more here, obviously, but those were some of the interesting orders. And John, did I miss it? Is there a communication from the city manager's office or the solicitor on a legal opinion if the auditor can audit? I don't think it's there.
I don't see it there, Tom.
No, I guess it's not a priority. I guess we'll see that never.
Did anybody put on the report from the Worcester Regional Research Bureau about the
No.
Oh, that didn't make it on there? Oh, okay.
No.
What about the charter review? Is there an order on here?
Please don't. Please don't. Just stop with that.
Oh, okay.
They just need to not be involved. I mean, they're so wholly consumed with themselves that we know what their opinion is on the charter. They want to keep it and keep having a dysfunctional city government.
I just didn't know if someone had done what they said they were going to do. I just figured I'd ask. You know what I mean?
No.
Well, Tom, we're getting pretty close, and Leanne's watching, so we gotta hit our mark.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out something that's tabled. Actually, two things that are tabled. 21G was back when you could petition the city council. Before we went full authoritarian. Request city council request standing committee on public safety investigate the issue of systemic racism and public safety with public hearings included. That was tabled in May 14th, 2024, and it was first motion was to file, and that failed, and then it was tabled. And the reason that the chairperson of that committee, once again, who has been reappointed, Kate Toomey, was that the committee had, and I quote, crime stats to look at, end quote. And I just wonder if they finished their review of those crime stats since May of 2024, and they could take this order.
I don't know. I did see a report that where crime has dropped precipitously. So of course we definitely need more monitoring technology in a super safe city with no crime.
Right. Which is, of course, I mean, so let's talk about that for a second. So I think it was the chief.
I don't want to talk about it.
The chief was in the newspaper saying, it's the new gun crime unit. And then look, the gun crime unit's good, and taking illegal guns off the street is good. But there's more guns than people. That's not. Is it making a difference at all? Yes. Is it? Can you draw a direct line to that? To there's been less homicides? No, we've had crazy dips in homicides before. Come on.
So the issue here comes down to is that what it reveals is that the city, just like any place, and the state, just like any place, they do not prosecute white collar crime. They do not prosecute fraud. They do not prosecute non-payment of taxes or landlords who are slumlords, even though there's statutes on the books to do that. They very rarely prosecute a lot of things related to that. They focus on street level crime, and they seem to suggest that street level crime is bad, is the thing that drives all badness. And the fact of the matter is that that's just not true. It's just fundamentally untrue. Crime statistics are, frankly, in my opinion, have never been accurate. They're all made up because they are subjective. They're not an objective take on whether or not everything is prosecuted evenly and fairly. And of course, it can't be because there's not enough staff for them to do that. It just doesn't exist. That's why.
Well, I mean, the prosecutions aren't. Well, I mean, I guess that would be interesting to see what kind of cases they're given to the DA. But the DA is not going to bring cases he's not going to win, right? So how many of those are actually being prosecuted? The outcome of the prosecution, I don't know, is necessarily on them, but are they being prosecuted is an interesting question. But I just wanted them to do the standard fare and get it. I mean, when was the last time we saw a closeout report? I think 3 or 4 years ago.
Right. But so, I mean, maybe this is a part where you and I probably don't agree on some level. It's not a negative thing. It's good to have differences. See, if for example, there was a guy from Worcester who was the head of the Latin Kings in the late 90s who killed 5 people. Right? Bad guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when he did it, he was 16. Is he still a bad guy?
Bad kid.
So when he did it, he was ordered to do it by his uncles. He's still a bad kid.
Well, he's still responsible for his own actions, but I don't think he should be prosecuted like as an adult.
And the gun that he used to do it was given to him by a Worcester police officer. Still a bad kid?
Bad cop.
Okay, so again, like when you hear the thing, the first thing you think, man, that's a bad guy. Bury that guy, right? 16 years old, 5 bodies, blah 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 blah. It's always the kind of that thing. But then when you actually look into the case and you start to like look at the ramifications of it, it turns out that there's more people involved with bad stuff than you realize. And
Oh, for
so
sure.
and so here, can I tell you this? That cop never got prosecuted. Those uncles never got prosecuted. They did. In fact, one of those uncles is the message board is lighting up because the Patriots apparently just scored a touchdown. So they're up 16-3 right now. The what I'm trying to say is that crime is selectively prosecuted in our nation, and it has been for a long time. And so when this, I'm happy that there's less dead people. That's great, and I'm happy that there's less guns on the streets. That's great, but I'm not sure if it's true. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, people turn up. I mean, so homicides is, I can see that for some crimes, but I mean, homicides is a dead person with a hole in them if they're shot. That's I don't think that they're hiding that. But I mean, look, but I mean, look, it's a statistic, and statistics have flaws, right? Like, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I mean, there is some value in looking at the macro statistically. I just think it's the wrong statistic.
Well, no. What I'm saying is that I do think that the plan that the chief has implemented has worked. I'm not saying that I think that he's effectively administered the plan that he intended to administer. So it's led to good results. But it's measured fundamentally by a flawed view of the world, and the view is that street level crime is the plague of the world, and that is the only way to make people feel safe again is to eliminate street level crime. The problem is that, and we have a recent example of it. Sometimes the government just executes people right in front of us, and then tells us that they didn't. And so, and then that person's never going to get prosecuted. They would ever, ever. The vice president came on TV and said he has absolute immunity, which is a new phrase.
Which is which he just made up.
Right, he did. But when you see that, and you like me, if I'm a young kid in Worcester, and I see that, and I see a police officer just do whatever he wants, it's going to make me change my behavior around maybe potentially abusive police officers that already exist here in the city of Worcester. And so, yeah, maybe I won't commit any more crime. Maybe I won't steal stuff at the store, but not because I don't want to steal, but because I'm afraid that the police officer will murder me. That's a completely different outcome. See, we supposedly had that crime could result in jail time or life sentences, or in some states, in some places, the death penalty, and that the fear of that consequence was supposed to be something that prevented crime. But we found out that is completely and utterly false on this one program alone, because Paul Saucier implemented a proactive system that goes out into the community to try to find these guns. It's not a reactive system. It's a proactive system that's using informant-based information. And so, not to like reveal the whole thing, but they're getting information from a reliable network of people that's pointing to them where these guns are. And those guns were in the hands of teenagers who their emotional volatility would have led potentially to street level homicides. That's a statistic that you can eliminate. Great. That's proactive policing, though, Tom. That is not reactive policing.
Okay.
Does that so they're arguing that reactive policing, which is technology based and data collection, and we think the crime happened over here, so we're going to deploy X over there and that kind of stuff, is where the investment is. But this program proves that that's not true. It's proactive community engagement-based policies that lead to reductions in street-level crime. But they don't prosecute the other kinds of crime, so it doesn't matter. So it's like the comparison makes no sense, is what I'm trying to say from their standpoint. They don't prosecute white collar crime. Fraud is committed daily, and no one prosecutes it here. No one.
So I think that the amount of proactive policing that can be done is quite limited, though.
Sure. Unless we go full Minority Report and we have psychics predicting people's behavior, right?
Well, I mean, in this city, who knows? I mean, city council could get behind that.
Hey, listen, if there's a drone involved, they'll probably do it. There's no doubt about that. What I'm trying to say is that
drones not only deploy themselves with AI, they have predictive technology that gets there before the crime happens.
Hell yeah. So what I will say is this: is the if you remember, and there'll be people that hate on us for this, but if you remember when this program was first proposed by Paul Saucier when he was the interim police chief, I and you came on the show and said, this is a great idea. It's a great idea because it gets officers engaging with community members, and you have actionable, trackable results within a 2-year period. And guess what? That happened. It's a proven model, and it's one of the only proactive systems that municipal police officers can ever use. It, in and of itself, leads to a more robust community relationship. But it's still missing one central and important piece, and that is admission of prior and past bad acts, which, again, will never happen in this city. But if you don't have that, because that develops trust. And the only way that you're going to get information about someone committing crime is that if you have trust in the system, trust in people. You and I are working on cases where there are people who don't want to come forward because they don't trust that they'll be treated well. That's it. They don't trust it. They do not trust that they'll be treated well and that they're going to be hurt and hammered by not just the police. It's not just the police. It's the whole system will attack them instead of them being celebrated for what they did. It's funny, they call people that give them information rats, but they rely upon them to be the sources of the information, and they can't make cases without them. They can't, but they call them rats because they're still not quite disconnected from that kind of thuggery, lifestyle. They kind of want to live on the edge of the tough guy stuff and talk smack and all that other stuff. And so that it really comes down to, it really, really, truly does, Tom. It comes down to implementing those systems, not just for one group of neighborhoods, but how do you apply this citywide and make it last? Because now that they've done the victory lap, and they'll do it again, like, because Chief Saucier has a report at some point that'll be in front of the Public Safety Committee about this statistic, and he'll get a victory lap. What happens if this year there's a bunch of homicides? Are we going to blame him?
No,
because it's not his fault. It's not, and also, but you can't credit it to him either.
right.
It has nothing. So again, just silly stuff. That's it. That's my whole thought. I'm sorry that took longer.
No, you're right. You're right. Absolutely. If you're right, it'll take a victory lap, and I mean, whatever, I guess. But then if we have a spike in homicides, you absolutely won't blame him. I mean, I would blame him because that's ridiculous.
Right, we didn't blame him to begin with. It's not his fault. If someone decides to kill someone, that's their fault.
Yeah, right. So I just taking guns off the street is good for the unit. It seems to be working well, but I mean, to connect it to the drop in crime is, I think, a stretch. I mean, look, people commit crime. It happens. 99%, I would imagine. It would be probably, I would think, most accurate. 99% of police work is responding to crime being reported, right? I mean, because you have, what are you going to put a police officer on every corner? And if you do that, maybe you could stop crime, but that's obviously not feasible. The idea you're going to stop crime is, or intervene as a crime is happening. Yes, that happens sometimes. Right. But it's usually still a response to, somebody being reporting it. Or sometimes the officer's in the area and sees it, whatever, and that's great. But I mean that is going to drop crime rate. I don't know, man. That just seems crazy to me. Like their job is to investigate and go find people that committed crimes. Primarily, they obviously do other things.
I'd love for them to investigate and find people that commit crimes that aren't just black kids. So that's what I'm trying to say. They do focus a lot of their resources in only 6 neighborhoods in this city. So
yeah, yep. And it's weird. The police pay a lot of attention to those neighborhoods. City council doesn't seem to pay much attention to them, though.
Some city councilors celebrate that they've never campaigned in those neighborhoods.
I wonder if there's a correlation there.
I don't know. Maybe there is.
You know, when the city doesn't care about a place and allows it to go to poop, you have social ills that come along with ignoring parts of the city forever. And then lastly, I just want to reiterate on this agenda, no legal opinion on if the auditor can audit.
All right, you know
now, it is time for John's favorite part of the show.
Gotta say to you. Okay, so this winter we've had a lovely hodgepodge of weather so far. And we're in one of those weird years that we have every few years where it'll snow, it'll be ice cold, and then we'll have 3 days of summer in the middle, where everything melts and goes back and forth. But this week we have the ice sculpture thing that's coming up. I think it's on Saturday. The downtown Worcester Business District is doing this ice sculpture thing. And I thought to myself, I would ask Tom a question I have not yet asked. And that is, Tom, what is your favorite snow-based activity?
Staying inside. I'm not going out there. It's cold and wet.
Bro, you had the greatest opportunity to do something on this show that would probably increase our viewership dramatically. It could have opened up an entirely new, segment of our viewership. If you had answered my question by singing a song. Do you know what song that is?
I'm staying inside. F that. It's too cold. I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you want to build a snowman? Do you want to build a snowman, Tom?
No, it's cold and wet. I'm staying inside.
So I just want to say to everybody out there, I just made an outreach to the Frozen kids of the world. With it's building a snowman, dude. You got to build a snowman. There's some contest, by the way, that Downtown Worcester Bid is doing, that the first big snow, like going forward, so 4 inches, they're gonna have a snowman building contest, downtown somewhere, and there's cash prizes, and I am in. I'm doing it.
I will watch it live on the internet from the warmth.
Fine. I'm
an old man. I'm not building a snowman. What are you, crazy?
Leanne's favorite snow-based activity is checks and balances, apparently. And but Maria's is watching movie and drinking cocoa. That's right, Leanne. Leanne, you're right. Checks and balances. Are we gonna build a snowman?
I mean, I'm old. My blood doesn't flow already. I'm cold just sitting here.
Have you watched
outside?
Frozen?
No.
You gotta watch Frozen, dude. Did you watch? Here's a really good question. How many of the 100 greatest movies did you watch? By John.
What a weird list, dude. I mean, Shawshank's great, but the greatest movie of all time? Are you high?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I'm not the only person who thinks so. It's on the top of several people's lists. Jaws came in second.
Yeah, that's weird too.
Leanne's gonna build a snowman. It went Shawshank, Jaws, Godfather. I mean, how do you even question that? That's a serious top 3.
No, Godfather is far and away better than those 2 movies. First of all,
that's an opinion that you can have, and that's okay. I'm not against that opinion.
I'm right. It is my opinion, but I'm also right.
I don't know.
The greatest film ever made.
Okay, is Gandhi?
Ben Kingsley is Gandhi.
You like Gandhi? That's it. Gandhi's good. Gandhi didn't make my top 100, but I'm not saying it's. By the way, the top 100, the whole goal of it is to get people to talk about movies. I want people to chat and say which ones they like. The
Yeah, I mean,
Godfather,
Shawshank's great, but I mean, number one ever,
number one, ever,
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 ever.
ever. Absolutely. Ooh, that's my next list. Top 100 rap albums of all time. I guarantee I'll do a top 20 for Tom and I'll do a top 100. That's my next list right there. This is going to lead to epic throwdowns. Epic throwdowns. Top 100 rap albums. It's albums, not songs, albums.
I'm just telling you right now.
Yes.
If only Built for Cuban Links is not number one, it's not going on the site.
You can have your own list, Tom. I can tell you this right now. You know who's not making the top 100? You know who's not getting an album in the top 100? I don't care what anybody says. Jay-Z gets no love on the John top 100 rap albums of all time because he's a thief, stole all his ideas. That's just John's opinion.
Not in the top. I mean, I don't.
Jay-Z.
I don't have. I don't. Yeah. I mean, it's not my thing. But not in the top 100.
Not in the top 100.
I mean, I don't even care about the rest. If only Built for Cuban Links is not number one, I'm telling you, it's not going on the site. That's it.
What do you mean, dude?
That's it.
There's
only one answer to that question.
It's gotta be a Wu-Tang album. It's gotta be a Wu-Tang album.
Yeah, Raekwon and Ghostface. Well, it's Raekwon's album, but Ghostface all over it.
Well, it's great. It's great. It's definitely great. I mean,
it's the best rap album of all time.
According to Tom, that's great. We should do that list. That'll be a great list.
Listen.
In fact, I challenge you, Tom Marino. You should do a top 20 rap albums of all time and stop holding out on your audience who demands that content from you. Get it done. Right, Maria? Tell him. Let's go. Top 20 rap albums according to Tom.
I mean, beyond only Built for Cuban Links, Liquid Swords.
Liquid Swords is great. Your woo credibility is phenomenal. But dude, there's a lot of stuff.
Like the first NWA, Chronic. I don't know if that would be 4, but that's up there. I don't know. It'd get weird.
You could do it.
But if over no list of top rap albums will appear on This Week in Worcester without at number one being only Built for Cuban Links, I will change your list.
I got to write this list. I got to get to it. Top 100 and the top 20. And I actually think it worked out great. I got 2 subscribers to my thing, and I looked at our analytics, and at least for a couple of days, people were clicking it. So that's cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. All right, I'll build a snowman. I want to. It Was Written is a great album.
Ghostface Killah is the best rapper ever. And if you people have not yet been introduced to the amazingness of Coast Contra, you're just behind. You're just not getting it. No, dude, those dudes are stupid.
They're pretty good. They're not too shabby. A lot of the new rappers, though, man, they are bad.
I mean, this is definitely good. They definitely have an old school lyricism feel to it.
Yeah, you can actually understand the words they're saying. Yes, very important. I like that. I'm definitely down.
Sometimes your eyes cross and blood shoots out your nose though because you're trying to figure out what they just did with all of those words. Because doubles and triples and quadruples, and it's dumb. They're amazing. Who's not Black? Listen, Black Thought is great. Don't get me wrong. That freestyle that he just nobody's heard me do nothing in 10 years. I'm just gonna go on the radio and just bust out a 10-minute long freestyle. It's sick. It was amazing. But I mean, come on.
It's pretty good. See, this is a great. So this isn't the best rapper list. This is just the best albums list. The best rapper.
I said Ghostface was the best rapper.
Yeah, but the best rapper list will probably lead to people fighting in the streets. For
there's a song on Ghost album Supreme Clientele. He's rapping over the Jackson 5 song ABC with lyrics and the vocals and everything.
Yeah. But in between, yeah. I think I've seen.
No. He's just rapping over them singing.
Yeah.
And I swear he rapped it like when they recorded it. I swear he did it to a different beat because it makes no sense and it's hysterical.
By the way, I think that I'm definitely doing a rap list. There's no doubt about it. It's going down. It's going down.
I'm just telling you right now.
Going down.
I mean, you have the parameters.
Diddy's not on my list. Also,
no, why would he be?
Another guy who didn't make my list. Never would have, anyways. He was a sidecar. He always was. He was a sidecar.
Yeah,
he was a sidecar who got all eyes on me.
What else is the top 10? What else is the top 10? Biggie's gonna be in the top 10.
Well, I see. So I would put from the Dre stuff. Doggy Style would definitely be. It's an epic. Changed everything.
Yeah, it's just gonna be close, if not close to the top 10. There's other stuff.
It also, some people don't like I'm a Tribe Called Quest guy. Some people consider Tribe to be revolutionary, but other people don't, and so they reject that. That kind of.
Well, those other people are also wrong because of course they were revolutionary. My God.
But again, it also depends on how you consider albums versus EPs. How do you want to? So the thing about the movie list is I created 3 rules, so I couldn't just go do whatever I wanted. I had to work within the confines of the rules, and it actually made it harder because once you put Godfather, you can't put Godfather 2, right? You can only put 1, and so if you put 1 Star Wars movie, it eliminates all the Star Wars movies. That's what I did the rule on purpose.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I think that the big lists actually, Midnight Marauders is great. I think the big list like AFI, they put the same movie on from the same guy, and they cheat and put 3 movies from one person. It's like that's not right. So with rap albums, how would you do that? What kind of rules would there be? Could it be
you gotta have same artist, different. You just have to.
Because if you put a Tupac solo album on, then all the stuff earlier couldn't go, and some of that stuff is great. And the same thing with with Biggie, it would eliminate, I think, one of the best albums ever. But then because it was groups that he was involved in. That you
can't do that. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Sure.
And I almost forgot. Probably I'm going to change my list already. I'm going to move Liquid Swords down to number 2 because Illmatic's. Down to number 3 because Illmatic's going to be 2.
Yeah, this is great. This is good.
Where do you put Strictly Business? Now we're in the whole thing.
Yeah, we're in the whole thing. It's a great conversation. It's a great conversation. So, all right.
They forgot EPMD. These young kids don't know. They forgot about EPMD.
There are 2 EPMD albums, if we don't have any restrictions, in the top 100 immediately. In fact, they came out back to back, 93 and 94, back to back. Anyways,
Business is the first one, though.
Huh?
That was Strictly Business is the best one, the first one.
Yeah, it's the first one. Yeah. But we're all the rap fans. There's not a lot of people watching, Marie, because they're watching the Patriots, who are winning 16-3 with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
That's what you get for watching that, not this. You get 9-3 to the third.
And it is 4th and 9 for the Chargers, apparently, who took out, or it's the 2-minute warning. There you go.
All right, so we're done, kids. We were done 20 minutes ago. And then we got a whole rap conversation. I don't know what happened there. John's wrong about the best movie ever. He's definitely wrong about the rap list, unless Only Built for Cuban Links is number 1. And then he'd be right. Thank you all for joining us. Have a great week. We will try to screw up less next time. Deuces.
City Council Tuesday.
Yeah, come see us.